Hey guys, and welcome to the 8-Week Life Hack webinar. We'll get started in just a few moments, but firstly, you should probably find yourself something to write with, something to take some notes with. Will be the best bet from here. I'll make sure that those levels are okay. Let me just check. Yep, and you guys can hear me okay. Yep, there's a couple of hands there, great. Okay, so grab yourself something to write with. Piece of paper, take some notes. I'll try and go as slowly through it as possible. Obviously, you'll be able to watch it again and pause it where you want, or if you are watching this as a replay, you can pause it as you go and do the activities as we go. But there is an interactive component to this webinar, so make sure you have something to take some notes with. Make sure you are ready to get creative to work out exactly who you want to be. All right, so welcome. And what is this webinar about? Obviously, it's an introductory webinar. It is my free webinar for you guys to get an idea of what the 8-Week Life Hack is all about. 8weeklifehack.com is my coaching program. There are several facets to the way I do the coaching program, and this one is the online coaching program that is up to you to go through as you wish. Is an 8-week program. That another part of what I do is that I do some one-on-one coaching, which is your more premium offer, and this is the standard program. But tonight's webinar is all about discovering the key to increasing productivity and feeling more fulfilled. That'll make much more sense in a moment, but obviously you've gotten involved because life feels like there should be more to it. Life feels like you should be more fulfilled. Life feels like you're not doing, or perhaps not doing all of the things you should be or are truly designed to be doing with your life. And that's what this webinar is all about, 2 or 3 different activities for you to find out who you truly want to be. So this webinar is for you if you need a clearer direction on your life. If you feel like you've got more to offer the world, you feel like what you're doing with all of your skills and all of your capabilities is not giving enough of yourself to the world. You've allowed other people's opinions to dictate your life. So you've relied on friends or family or the school guidance counselor, or you've just followed a path that everyone else kind of followed. And you followed this journey and you thought it was the right thing to do with your life, but now you've gotten somewhere and you just feel completely lost, or you just feel like something's missing. And that's what this webinar is all about, and this webinar is for you. And then this webinar is also for those people that want to be a role model for their family. This webinar is for people that want to show the path of what life is all about, in that it is about fulfilling all of the things you are designed to do. This webinar is for you if you want to be that shining light and you want to learn how to be more authentic, so that those that follow in your footsteps, so that those that look up to you can be more authentic with their life as well. Now, here is a great slide to show exactly what it is that I do. That's exactly what it is that Words with Oz do, and exactly what it is, the basis of what the 8-Week Life Hack does. First of all, we discover who you are. Not necessarily who you'd like to be, but who you are. What are the things that really drive you? What are the values? What are the core values that really drive you of who you are? And then we look at discovering what it is that you want. When you've got that basis, those foundations, the core values, the mission, we work out what it is you want. What are the dreams? What are the goals? What do you want to do with who you are? And then finally, we move on and we work out how you're going to get there. What are the things you're going to put in place? What are the things you're going to do to get what you want? Now, throughout the entire process, there are combinations of that. How are you getting, as you are doing the how, you need to keep in mind the who. So let's say you want to achieve something outlandish. How you're going to get there is by following a structure, or following a schedule, or following the steps. But along those steps and structure and schedule, you still need to do it with your who, with your values in mind. So it follows that path. There is a base, there is a what, then there is the how. But most importantly, and what today's webinar, what this webinar is all about, is the who you truly want to be. That's the core. That's the inner workings. That is what the foundation of your most fulfilled, most productive, most ambitious life is going to be based on, is the who you are. Who am I? I have had many a career for someone of my age. I am a former lawyer. I'm an admitted solicitor and barrister to the New South Wales Supreme Court. Prior to that, I did some real estate over in Dubai. I sold some property over in Dubai. I've sold some property back where I'm from in Adelaide. I played quite a high level of quite a high level of semi-professional competitive Australian rules football in Adelaide when I was growing up, and I played some other high-level sports as well. I studied chemical engineering for a little while when I first left school, and I've gone down a range of different paths in search of this who I truly wanted to be. But it wasn't until 2011 when I lost my sister and I lost my father in the same year. One by both tragic circumstances, but one by tragedy and one by suicide. And it was just one of those moments that makes you wake up and makes you think, what am I doing? Life is way too short to be living this life that you're half-hearted about. From now on, do what you love to do. And we all need to learn that lesson. And sadly, most of us only learn that lesson after something tragic happens. But we need not follow these paths of which we're semi-certain about. We need to be doing what we love to do. And that's really found in the who you want to be. Throughout my journey, the thing about me was that I was always relatively talented at what I did. As I explained to you just then, there was lots of different avenues that I explored from my late school years through to now. And I was always talented. I've always had that ability to just pick things up and do things well. I mean, even if it's teaching or educating like this, I've coached a few teams and I've always kind of had this knack to be able to do it. When I was a lawyer, I was a reasonably good lawyer. Coming through law school, I got some really amazing grades. Selling real estate, I had these Young Gun Awards, bit of a wanky name, but Young Gun Awards when I first started, and I won those. But along the journey, I was never fulfilled. There was always more that I wanted. I always wanted more. I always wanted more. So I was always talented throughout the journey, but never fulfilled. And so it's come to me to try and find the way and then explain to you the wider audience and educate you the way to find that fulfilling part. And during my journey, what I have learned is that I love to coach and I love to speak. And that's why I've started Words with Oz, and that's why I do this 8-week life hack. It combines the things that I love and it gives me an ability to give back, which are the things that I love to do. Now, Words with Oz does a few things. I do live talks, so I get it brought in by large corporations to come and talk to their leaders and talk at their strategy days and all that type of thing. I speak at sporting clubs and I speak at schools. And then every so often I put on free talks for the community. And that's my live talks, and that's my passionate part of this project, is that getting in front of people, being on my feet, and inspiring the world to be more ambitious. Beyond the live talks, I actually also do executive coaching, which is part of this 8-week life hack program. But companies bring me in to run through a series of programs, a series of weeks, or a structure to get a specific result. And then on top of that, I also do quite premium serviced one-on-one coaching. And that starts all the way through at a base level of working out values to all the way through intricate performance, whether that be neuro-linguistic program or specific high performance projects for executives and then people in other industries as well. And then I've also got the Essay Question podcast, Words with Oz's podcast. It's available everywhere that good podcasts are available. And I interview successful people to find out their stories and beliefs to inspire the listener to be more ambitious. And that's what I'm all about. I think the world is operating at a level that is far too mediocre for what we are capable. And I think we need more people to be more inspired, to be more ambitious and aim higher and aim further and go for beyond what they think they're capable of. That's what Words with Oz is all about. And we are about to pursue this angle with you guys now on tonight's webinar. As I said, I've worked with business owners, I've worked with large corporations, I've spoken at leadership summits, all along the same lines, and it all comes back to the subject matter of tonight's webinar, this idea of what are your values, what's the basis, what's the foundation with which you feel fulfilled and are motivated to be more productive, finding that increased productivity. Over the time I've been doing Words with Oz, I've done a series of different expert panels. As I said, I've spoken at a few leadership summits, and this particular one was a female leadership summit where I was the only male on the panel. I've got the podcast. I've written for articles for Men's Health. I've written articles for Triple White magazine, the Cusp, and many other media outlets that coming to me for these ideas of how do we elevate success? How do we find that fulfillment? How do we be more productive? So on and so forth. I've spoken in front of many different people and coached many different types of personalities and people in different industries along the way. And here are some of the testimonials that I've received. Chris actually is a gym owner in Sydney and came along to a series of my talks earlier in the year and gave me some amazing feedback. His idea was he's not really one for necessarily wanting to spend too much time with people who do self-development, which I suppose is where I would be classified. But as you'd see, my thoughts don't just come from reading a book and trying to tell you what someone else has said. My thoughts, my analogies, my logical explanation comes from experience. I truly put that in from where I've come, what I've seen, and what I believe is to be true. I just tell you what I believe and expect that if you want to improve, you will buy into those beliefs. If you don't, that's fine. But tonight's all about working out who you truly want to be. And I believe that's where you have to start if you want to live your most productive and fulfilled life. I've had journalists come in, male, female people coming through the program, and it's a combination of pushing them to do more, as well as reminding them who they are. It's an honesty thing, working out honestly who they want to be, and getting them to go that way. And young entrepreneurs as well. Scotty had a great time, great guy, and is thriving nowadays. As I said, this photo I used to highlight my own journeys. This is a photo of me when I was living in Dubai selling real estate, and it kind of highlights. It makes me smile. You might not see it, but it makes me smile because it reminds me of one of my lowest points. That's the most I've ever weighed. That's the most unfit I've ever been. And here I am, hungover, trying to go for a surf down in Oman. And then I contrast that with this photo, which was me in 2016 training with the Navy SEALs over in San Diego. The fit, I'm probably a little bit fitter than that now, but that's, I was extremely fit compared to the prior photo. I'm in a world of hurt, and yet I'm just getting it done, doing things. And that just really, really highlights for me the vast difference between who you are and who you can be. Where you go in the world when you're just letting people, you're not pushing and not controlling your own destiny, compared to making the decision, finding out who it is that you truly are, finding out what it is that you truly want, and then going and getting it. And then me again, not too long ago, competing in CrossFit competition, fit, lifting weights in front of the crowds, just another photo that shows that huge change. And if I can do it, we all can. And of course, and we won that competition, me and the lads. And then Wim did My Body and Soul did a report on my podcast, and there's an article for you guys to have a quick look at there, just to give you an idea of many people have trusted my thoughts and experience, and I get the results, and expect to get some good results during this webinar. But what's this webinar all about? We are going to uncover your core values. And I'll just highlight the word uncover there, because some people will say find, some people might say establish, and so on and so forth. But I believe that they're already there. You already have these core values. They are things that have been engrossed in your life through your experiences and through your time, through your growth and evolution and your education. So it's all about uncovering them. You don't find them. Sorry, you find them, you don't create them. You don't suddenly say, this is who I'm going to be. It's actually who you already are, and we're just uncovering who it is you want to be. And this is just the beginning. This is just the foundation. There is a whole range of another 6, 7, 8, 9 steps that I run through. 6 main steps, but there's a whole range of steps that I run through in this program. The beginning is uncovering who you want to be. So tonight we're going to brainstorm. We're going to get creative, which is why I asked you to have those sheets of paper and pens available earlier, and to bring your creative brain. And then we're going to clarify. So after we've done a bit of brainstorming and gathered it all, we're going to bring it and start clarifying exactly who you want to be, exactly what those things are, and start refining it. And then we're going to implement. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 things to do so that you can start implementing that who you want to be. As far as brainstorming goes, there are 3 different activities we're going to do. We're going to do one what's called the authentic you. We're going to do one called the gravestone, and we're going to do one called the admiration hunt. They're all a series of activities with the expectation where you will open your mind to the unrealistic. You have to be free of judgment as you do it. And you have to just be willing to write down whatever comes to mind. There are no incorrect answers. Then we're going to clarify. And by clarifying, we're going to start grouping, these words that you put down. We're going to start grouping these values that you put down. Then we're going to refine them, and then we're going to dismiss some. We're going to just completely get rid of some, because we need to come up with that core group, that small group, that isolated number of values of who you truly want to be. Then we're going to implement. And tonight or today or whenever you're watching this, we're going to implement one habit, we're going to implement one decision, and we're going to implement one conversation. So over the next week, you're going to create one habit in line with your core values. You're going to make one decision in line with your core values, and you are going to have one conversation in line with your core values. So we're about to get started with the brainstorming part, the creative part. Make sure you've got your pen and paper ready. If you don't have that already, go and grab it now, and we'll get started in just a moment. The first thing you need to think about with the brainstorming is to free yourself of criticism. Like I said, this is a no judgment zone. You need to be awake enough to write down everything that comes to mind, because there are no wrong answers. We need to find out exactly who you want to be. We need to be open to being everything to begin with. That's where I want you to start. Not only that, I want you to be highly unrealistic with the dreams and goals and values and aims that you bring to yourself during the brainstorming section of this. Think large. Think beyond what you once dreamt you could do. Think in the most perfect world, who are you going to be? You need to get to the point where you just awaken your imagination, just be thinking worldwide, large. And finally, write it all down. Put everything on paper. Put everything you write down, everything you think of, everything that comes to mind, no matter how stupid it feels, it's not. This is no judgment zone. Write it down. All right, we'll get ready. The authentic you. I want you to picture for a moment yourself when you have become who you most desire to be. In the future, when you picture yourself living your best life, when you picture yourself living your most successful life, when you picture yourself your happiest 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years into the future, who are you? What are you doing? Where do you wake up? How do you spend your day? Who do you spend your day with? And more importantly, how do you act? How do you interact? What do you look like? What do people see when they look at you? Who are you when you're your most authentic self? Free from judgment, just pursuing exactly what it is you want to do. You're not the person society wants you to be. You're not the person your parents hope you are. It's got nothing to do with the path that people are leading you along. You're not the person the media says you should be. In the future, your authentic self is who you truly want to be. I want you to start writing down some of the things that come to mind now. Start writing down, you know, so an example would be mine. I in the future wake up in a it's a random thing, but it's an apartment and it's purely white and I live in a hotel. And everything kind of is available for me. You know, my papers are ready. My favorite coffee store is just downstairs outside. I get up, I go for my morning run and my morning swim. I grab Chip, he's my dog for those of you that don't know, and I take him for a walk. Even in the future, this is how I see it. Come back, my paper's handed to me by the doorman. I go upstairs, I read the paper, I have my coffee. You know, this is who I say authentic self. I'm dressed well. I'm presented well. People are come to me for information. My day's highly structured. People, whether it's a black car or an Uber, people drive me to where I need to go. The authentic me. My nieces, they call me because if they need something, they call me for a chat. They call me for advice. I still see my family once a week. You know, no matter where I am in the world. That's who I see my authentic self. You might see yourself working where you work now, just further along the path. You might see yourself with a family or looking after your parents, or you might see yourself traveling, or perhaps you see yourself as a yogi. Perhaps you see yourself in the mountains somewhere. Perhaps you live in the city now, and in the future you see yourself on a seascape. Your authentic self, where are you going to be happiest? That's who you need to be envisioning now, and they're the things you need to be writing down, and write it down in detail. Who are you when you're your authentic self? Are you confident? Are you loving? What attributes do you have? What values do you have? What do people see in you? What are the things that you do? Write that down now. All right, we'll move along, but make sure you keep noting when new things come to mind, just write it down. Right now, we are just compiling a huge brainstormed list of the attributes and things and values that you might have. The next activity is called the gravestone. Now, it is a little bit obviously talking about death a little bit here, so it's a little bit on that darker side, but bear with me, it'll all make sense in just a moment. I want you to imagine for a moment that you are walking into a funeral service, whether that's in a church or at at the beach or where it is that you might picture a funeral service, but you're walking into a funeral service, and up by the casket or at the front of the service are the most important people in your world. You know, pick 3 or 4 of the most important people. So not the people you spend the most time with, but the people whose opinions matter to you most. The people that if they thought ill of you, you couldn't stand it. When you think of the 3, 4, or 5 most important people in your world, and they're at the front of the funeral. And as you get closer to them, you realize that you're at your funeral. You are in the casket, or you are in the urn, or this is your funeral, and they're the most important people that have been a part of your life. I want you to think about what you want them to say. You know, what are they going to say about you on your gravestone? What's the blurb they're going to write about you? So it has to be short because it has to fit on a gravestone, but just in a few short words, what sums up your life? If you've lived your life this way, these people will be proud of you, the world will be proud of you, and you will be happy with what you did with your life. So as an example, mine would be he lived his life making others' lives better. That's it. He lived his life making others' lives better. Feel free to steal that one, but please come up with your own. You know, what is it about you that if you get to the end of your life and you've done that, you'll be satisfied. Your life would have been fulfilling. Your life would have been ambitious. What do the people most important in your world say about you? What do you want them to say? So not what would they say, not what would they say right now, but what would you want them to say? When they reflect on what you did with your life, what reflection would they inscribe? Spend some time writing down the words or the thoughts or the attributes that you'd hope to have, you'd hope that they'd see in you from your life. Spend some time writing that down just now. Okay, we'll move along again. The last activity as far as this brainstorming goes is called the admiration hunt. So what I want you to think about here is people that you admire. They could be real, they could be fictional, they could be from history, they could be people who know, they could be famous people, or perhaps they could just be a combination of people. I just want you to brainstorm and think and get wide and get creative of people that you most admire. So part of the people that I most admire is a gentleman named who you might have heard of, Sir Winston Churchill. I love the fact that he was. I love the fact that he was political and he was steadfast in his beliefs. I love the fact that he stepped up, took control of the UK during that World War II time and led them to victory with the power of his words. I love that he spoke well. I love that he was a master of the English language. He is someone that I admire, and therefore there are many of his characteristics that I take on. But don't get me wrong, there are many of his characteristics that have come out, after his passing that I perhaps don't take on. He drank a lot, he smoked a lot, he was quite rude. There are these other sides of things that we take from some people and don't take from others. My pa was a typical English gentleman. I never really knew that when he was alive, but reflecting upon the times after he'd passed, I realized that those things that he did, the way that he held himself, the way that he spoke, the way that he treated the women and the children in his life, English gentleman to a T, and I take those things on as well. So I want you to do that now. Is think about the people that you most admire, and what is it about them that you most admire. And I'd like you to start writing down those attributes and those values and those considerations and the things about them that you most admire. And when you're thinking about the things that you most admire, what is it you'd like to learn? What is it that you'd like to emulate? What is it that that make you think of those people and think, yeah, that's who I need in my life? What about them would you like to learn? What about them would you like to adapt for your life? Just spend some time writing that down now. Okay, so we should have a pretty extensive list now. You should have a pretty full page of just random words, random things that come together: honesty, truth, loud, confident, random words from all those activities that are leading you towards your main values. And I reinforce that there are no incorrect answers. This list will be refined more and more over time. I remember my first list took up an entire A4 page, small writing, every line, everything was written down. All the way through to today, it's about 3 or 4 lines. It's about 3 or 4 sentences, with 8 or 9 main words. A gentleman who's honest and integral, puts family and friends first, inspires with his ambitious nature, is uncompromisingly committed to a result, and he keeps life simple. That's my list of values. But once upon a time, it was much longer, probably closer to 500 to 600 words, because it just had everything there. So write it all down. There are no incorrect answers. And once you've got it all written down, we're going to go through this process of clarification. Going to go through this process of choosing the values on that page that mean the most to you. Now, everyone has got a set of values for being part of the part of the human race. So that you might have a value of family, most of us will. You might have a value of honesty, most of us will. I want you to start picking the values that you choose to guide you, picking the values that stand out to you. And as you read what you've written down, or even as you were writing them down, you know which ones mean more to you than others. It's just the same as some people like to read books, some people like to go for a surf. That you just have that inner feeling. And I'd like you to start honing in on that inner feeling as you're looking at your work now, as you're looking at those words now, and start picking which values relate best to you. And as you start picking those, I want you to start associating like values or words to be the same. So if you've got trust and integrity written down, you put them aside. If you've got provider and protector, they probably could be grouped together. They're slightly different, but they could probably be grouped together. If you've got confident and aggressive, they're probably it's probably the same thing. Or arrogant and confident, they probably start grouping the words that mean the same. If you're an ambitious person, if ambition is a core value, and then next to that you've got great achiever, then you probably can group those together. Let's start grouping them together now. And now we're going to start refining. So I want you to refine by picking a word that defines that list. So when you've got all your different groups, maybe you've got 3 or 4 different words there, I want you to pick the word that means the most to you, that defines that list. It's the one that means the most to you. As I said, you might have honesty, trust, and integrity all written in the same list, but it may be that integrity is the one that stands out to you, or it may be that trust is the one that stands out to you. You may have family, caregiver, provider all written down, but which one really stands out to you? Is it that you love, is it that a love for family, or is it more you just like being the person that's relied upon, that person that is known to be the person that provides? Pick the word or the value or the attribute that means the most to you. And now we're going to start dismissing words. Let's just start crossing things off. There are words on that piece of paper that don't mean much to you. You might have written rich. Great. Perhaps that is a value that or an attribute that you'd like, but it's probably not really what you're looking for. Get rid of it. What do you really mean by rich? Significant, successful, respected. What is the deeper word that you meant by having written that down? So let's start crossing off the things that you want to get rid of, and highlighting the word, because we really want that core group of values left over at the end of this process. So be ruthless. If you're uncertain about a certain word that you've written down, uncertainty is not really a thing now in this process. It is a time to just cross it out. Be ruthless. At the end of this, you want a list of values that help you make decisions. And what we mean by that is when you come to a fork in the road of your life and you're deciding which way to go, your core values are what you rely on to know which decision or which direction of that fork of the road is the right way to go, is the right way to go for you. So let's say you get an opportunity to go to uni and study, which is what your parents wanted you to do, or perhaps there is a job that is in an industry that you've always loved, but isn't seen by society to be as highly valued. You can rely on these values that you're now going to collect to make your decision. And if you've got a series of values, so let's say your values were to give back, to make a positive change in the world, and to be integral. And then your 2 options were to go and become a corporate lawyer down one path, or become a charitable worker in Africa down the other path. If you think about those 3 core values, then you're probably going to go down the path of becoming a charitable worker. Yeah, integrity is hard to upkeep as a corporate lawyer. Positive change in the world is not necessarily something you can say you are when you're a corporate lawyer. And giving back is not something you do, and you can do it as a corporate lawyer, but out of those two options, you can see which way you want to go. I trust that makes sense as far as what this idea of the core values being your decision maker values are. And like I'd said, you will refine this list over time. So if this is the first time you've attempted to come up with a list of core values, the list is organic. It will change, it will adapt, it will grow. That's the benefit of being human, is that we can change. You can change your mind. Even within the last 6 months, I've changed my list of values. It happens, so don't. That is the last thing to be said about this list, is don't think you're going to write it and that's it. Especially if this is the first time you've done it. You will evolve, you will change your mind, you'll find new values, but at least have them to begin with. Otherwise, you don't even know the foundations to start to search for what you want. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's what you're going to have when you finish up tonight. And the last portion of everything that I do with anyone is all about taking action. I'm a results-based coach. I'm not here just to fill the time. I'm not here as a checklist for, oh yeah, I've worked out my values. I'm here to work out your values so that you can go and pursue your most ambitious and fulfilling life, so that you can go and implement the things that will get you to live a fulfilling life. Let's face it, not enough of the world living, even not enough the first world, never mind the people who don't have this resources and the benefits that we have in the first world, but not enough people in general are living ambitious, fulfilling lives. That's what I need to change. That's what I'm doing with this webinar. And that's what I'm doing with this program. So the last section of the activities is to take action. Don't just sit through this, go through the motions, write down a few words throughout this process. If you haven't been doing it, go back. Replay this later, go back and write it, and write down the values and refine the values, and then dismiss the values and come up with your core list. And don't intend to do it, actually do it. Implement, actually take the action. Intention means nothing, results mean everything. So we're going to move into that implementation, into that intention, into that action taking section and portion of the webinar now. I want you to create one habit. I want you to think about your core values. Perhaps one of your core values was health. I want you to think about a habit that you can create over the next 21 days that will make you more healthy. Perhaps you need to go for a walk every morning. Perhaps you need to improve just one of your meals during the day. How are you going to make that habit more aligned with your core values? Perhaps one of your core values was to be charitable. All right, let's come up with a habit to ensure that once a week you give back. Once a week you donate. Once a week you, even if you don't have the money for it, you donate your time to someone. Have a look at your core list of values and then decide on one habit that you're going to create and one habit that you're going to implement. And then you're going to do it for 21 days in a row. There are a couple of techniques to do this. One of my favorites is just to write. Actually, get a stack of Post-its and write 21 on top of it, and then under that write 20, 19, and count down. And then every day just rip one off until you get down to 1. Do that habit for the next 21 days. And 21 is the key number there. It takes 21 days to form a habit. It takes 28 days to ensure that habit is enduring. So 21 days in a row, form a new habit in regard to one of your or all of your values, whether that was health, whether that was being more productive, whether that was being more honest. Perhaps you need to have more honest conversations. Perhaps you need to check yourself more often. Create that habit. Do it for 21 days. And also create one decision. There's something, a decision that you've been stuck on, or there's something you need to do that you haven't done lately. And you all know what it is. You all have the feeling, yep, I know, it sits in your gut. You haven't done something, or you need to make a decision and you've been stuck, but you know what decision you need to make. You're just scared to make it. There's something holding you back. I want you to look at your values. I want you to align the decision with those values and then make the decision, just one decision. And more than that, I want you to write it down right now. Write down what your decision is and what the result that aligns with your core values. Because this week you're going to go and make that decision. You're going to go, you're going to just go get that done. Whether it's joining a gym because you want to be more healthy, whether it's signing up to a program, whether it's reading a book. There are a range of things that we all know. As I said, we all know something that is aligned with our values that we're not deciding on. I want you to write that down right now and then go out and do it. And then one conversation. Similar to the decision, we've all got that one conversation we need to have. Perhaps you want to get a raise at work and it takes one conversation to go and speak to your boss. Perhaps you need to have a hard conversation with your partner. I want you to go and have it. I want you to look at your values. I want you to decide which way you need to go, what needs to be done in your life, and then go and do it. What conversation you're going to have. Perhaps you've been putting something off for some time now. It's time to go and do it. And before we do it, I want you to envision how that conversation is going to go. And what that means is, if you were going to ask for a raise or if you were going to ask for a promotion, you want you to envision going in, sitting down and being in front of your boss and how the conversation is going to go. I want you to envision the positive outcome and do it in a way that is aligned with your core values. If one of my values is to be a gentleman who's with honesty and integrity, well then when someone asks me for my opinion on something they're doing in the workplace, and I disagree with the way they've been acting because I know that I think they should go a different way, I'm going to be a gentleman who's honest and integral. I am going to have the hard conversation, but before I have it, I'm going to envision, okay, they may react like this, so I need to make sure that I handle it in a certain way, or I want to get this result, so I envision myself being confident. I envision myself having the conversation in a way that comes across and delivers my honest, integral approach in a gentlemanly manner. So think about your core values. Think about how the conversation is going to go. That's one conversation, one decision, and one habit that you're going to implement. And you're going to implement it this week. It will change your life. It will take your life in the direction of more productivity and more fulfillment that you are looking for. Core values gives you the guide. It's like bumper bowling. The ball is you going down life, and your bumper bowls are keeping you in the right direction. That's what your core values do. They keep you aligned. They're your North Star. They're your compass. They tell you which way to go when hard decisions are there to be made. And that's what you're going to do this week. One habit aligned with your core values, one decision aligned with your core values, and then one conversation. Think about what they'll be now and clarify them, write them down. The key to increase productivity, feeling more fulfilled, and living your most ambitious life is living a life guided by your core values, your mission, your purpose, the way you want to live, who you truly want to be. And today we uncovered your core values. We uncovered who you want to be. It may not be complete, but replay this session and continue to evolve over the next few days, and you will have a complete list of your core values. As I said, we uncovered them. We didn't find them. We didn't create them. We found them. They were always there. You've just uncovered them. And then I've given you actionable steps to go and implement. One habit, one decision, and one conversation. And like I said at the beginning, this is just the beginning of your process to your most ambitious and fulfilled life. You could just leave this webinar, say thanks, and well, not even say thanks because I don't need the thanks, but you could just leave and just go about your life like it once was, or like you acted yesterday. But don't do that. That's what most people do, and you don't want to be most people. You want to leave here and go and live your most ambitious and fulfilled life. And to do that, you need to take action. So your core values is just the beginning. Now you've got to implement and you've got to take the further steps. I've given you the keys that will completely improve how productive and how fulfilling your life is. But there's more. And what's next and what's needed is that you need a coach. And I'm here saying that I'm happy, willing, and able to show you the actions you need to take advantage of me and take advantage of your opportunity. Your opportunity right now in this webinar. I've got step-by-step processes that'll allow you to start implementing those core values and start providing a way to live your most ambitious and fulfilled life. And I've done it for others, and I can do it for you. So I urge you to trust me. We all need a coach in all areas of our life, and I'm asking you to trust me to get you to where you want to go. There's an accountability side to it. I want you to be, I will hold you accountable to the things you said you want to do. If you tell me your list of core values, I'm going to hold you accountable to living a life along those core values. And I'm going to do that with the 8-week life hack. I will take you from where you are to where you want to be. If you do the work, you will get the results. You will live the life you most desire to live. As I said, I've done it with plenty of people. The people that do all the activities and touch base with me and stay in communication with me and are honest and open with themselves and with me get the results. The people that don't. It's a guide that will dramatically influence the direction of your life. Obviously, the statement that a life guided by your core values, will show you how to live and take you to where you most want to be. But the statement not only simplifies it, but it just reminds you that it's an uncomfortable process, and each and every one of us can do it. And the 8-week life hack will be that guide that will dramatically influence the direction of your life and what you leave behind. But you've got to take the action. This webinar has given you a few techniques and a few ideas to work out those core values and so on and so forth, and an overall idea of what it takes. But beyond that, it takes action. And I'm willing to do that with you if you begin right now. I've done this program with many people, and I've designed a program, the 8-week life hack. And in my experience, that those who do this program and put in the work become the person they most desire to be. The person that will live your most fulfilled life does the work. It's an accountability program. It dramatically influences your day-to-day and changes the trajectory of your life to be in line with who you want to be. And it will begin right now. I will implement strategies and techniques for you to completely change the way you live your life so that it is aligned with your core values, making every decision in line with your goals and dreams. And I do that with these 6 webinars over 8 weeks. And the way it works is the first one is the dream. So we take your core values and we work out where you want to go with them. What is your outrageous dream? Then we set a plan in place to get there. And then we start creating the routines or the habits that will get you there. And then we start working on the performance part, or as I put it, the how. So the who is your values. The who is what your dreams are. The what is also your short-term dreams. The how is the planning and the routine and the courage to do it when it gets hard and the courage to break through your resistances. The how is in the performance, the efficiency piece, getting you to perform your best whenever you need to perform. And then success is the end. And the last step is the definition of success, is this idea that you never give up. We've come up with your core values, and then you're going to come up with your dream of who you want to be. And the only way to get there is to never give up. 6 webinars: dreaming, planning, routine, courage, performance, and success. And I do it, as I said, over 8 weeks. And there are 2-week break in there for you to have a one-on-one hour with me that will review and refine and balance the weeks during the 8-week life hack. This is a way for you and I to keep on track to success. Not only that, you'll get 3 one-hour mastermind sessions with me and other members of the program, both people that are in the same boat as you, as in maybe doing the same week, and people who have done it before. So they'll be there to answer all the random thoughts and queries and questions that you have. And of course, you'll get 3 months access to me on the email. Not immediate responses, but I am quite good at it, and I'll answer all of your questions. So the 8-week life hack, 8 weeks, 6 webinars, 2 one-on-one sessions with me, options for the mastermind, and then complete email access for 3 months. So email access for 3 months beyond the program. So the 6 webinars, worth almost $2,000. The one-on-one time and the mastermind group, up and around that amount as well. And then 3 months worth of access. You'll get it all, which is worth well over $4,000, for just $497 if you sign up now. I'll have a link available at the bottom of this webinar, or it's available at the moment over there in the questions section for those of you watching live. For those of you not watching live, you'll see that below there is a button that says purchase now. You can click on that. You can get this entire program for $497, and I promise you it's worth the value that I've given. Some people that I've had done it before, people from all walks of life. Here's Dr. Andrew. He is a chiropractor out of Adelaide, who came along and got more done in the 8 weeks with me than he had for the previous 8 months. He is now running a side investment company, as well as still living his most fulfilled life as a chiropractor. I had a head chef from one of the best cafes in Sydney do my program. He left the job as the cafe chef and is now traveling Europe with his new girlfriend, learning from all the best chefs in Europe. Truly an outstanding change. All not just from my program, but the beginnings of it were from doing the 8-week life hack, finding out your values, and more importantly for Toby was when he found the courage to go beyond his resistances. Personalized coaching from me starts from $3,000 upwards. That's the one-on-one stuff. But what you are getting matches you get no less than those people, other than it's not one-on-one. A one-on-one live talk from me starts at $1,500 and goes up from there. You guys are getting me 6 live webinars for an hour, and you get unlimited access to my strategies and activities and techniques. The webinars, mastermind, one-on-one sessions, access, and you get it all for just $497. As I said, the link is there on the right for all you watching live, and the link is there below for all you watching the replay. $4,000 worth of value, and you get it for just $497. Most of the people that do this program are high-achieving people. They've got lofty goals, just like you. They just need a bit of a push, a bit of accountability, and a bit of coaching. If you're not 100% clear on your values, missions, and goals by the end of the first 4 weeks, I'll give you your money back. 30-day risk-free trial. Risk-free trial. I'm yet to have to do that, simply because I take you from where you are and we create the person you most desire to be. So don't do what most people do. Go out and do your one habit, one decision, and one conversation. Go out and do what we've discussed. Act on what you've learned. But beyond that, act further. Spend some time thinking about it and implementing it. And the problem here is that an hour with me is not enough. It gets you on the way. It's just the beginning. It gets you started. It gets you thinking. But I urge you to replay the webinar. I urge you to ask questions, email me, so on and so forth. And I urge you to get all you can from the entire program, the entire 8-week life hack. 8 weeks to learn who you truly want to be, what you truly want, and how you can get it. $497 for the 8-week life hack. Tons and tons of value in there. So much value, so many different things. Extra activities, extra parts, extra pieces from me. $497 available now. Don't be like most people. Don't intend to do it and then not change. Do it. Actually take the action. Thanks for your time.